In studio right now is Robert Smullen. Robert is from, are you from the Gloversville? You're a graduate of Gloversville, right?
That's correct. Gloversville High School, 1986.
1986. Okay. Good morning. And
Good morning.
Also spent time in the Marines.
I sure did. I had a great, wonderful career. Spent 24 years in the United States Marine Corps. After I left Gloversville High School, went off. My journey ultimately took me to the Marine Corps. I ended up doing 3 combat tours in Afghanistan.
Wow.
After the 9/11 attacks, I was privileged to be part of the invasion forces that went in there in 2001 after the World Trade Center attack.
Well,
So
thank
you
you
were
for your service, by the
you
way.
were
Thank
on the ground.
I was on the ground. Yeah, we were the Marines that went in.
What did
to
that look
southern
like
Afghanistan.
when you? I mean, it's one thing looking from an airplane, but then when you touch down and you see the terrain, the sights. Were you in Afghanistan and Iraq, or just Afghanistan?
Just Afghanistan. I did 3 tours. I went there initially in 2001, and then I went back
3
again.
tours.
That's
Wow.
right, twice.
So what was that like when you just your first had to be scary in itself and exhilarating and all of those things? I can't imagine.
Sure. Well, as always, after something like 9/11 happens,
Yeah.
we were planning
Ready to
something
go.
mad. We were ready
Yeah.
to go, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we went over there to do our duty in southern Afghanistan.
And I think that was the general feeling of the country, right?
It certainly was.
It was pretty amazing. The days after 9/11, we were a country of one. We don't see that in politics these days, which makes me wonder, what are you thinking?
Sure. For me, entering the political realm is just another way to give back and continue my lifetime career of public service. It's really what I'm all about. It's what I've been like as an individual. It's how I was born and raised. I grew up in a great small town, Meco, New York, over in Fulton County. I saw people like my grandfather, who was the founding chief of the Meco Volunteer Fire Company, showing me how to help others first.
Yeah.
I worked in our family's small business. We had a masonry construction business. Our job was to build things of enduring value that the people of Fulton County still use today, sort of thing. From a fireplace to a factory, my family could build those things, and I was very glad to be part of that.
Yeah. And this district is a pretty large district, Marc Butler's 118th Assembly District. So it comes out here, a little part of Oneida County, goes down into Herkimer County, and then beyond, down your way, down through the valley.
That's right.
To the east.
It's 5 counties. It's really one of the biggest districts in the entire state. Fulton County, Hamilton County, Herkimer County, Oneida County, and St. Lawrence County. So it's a tremendous geography. Covers a beautiful area, lots of the Adirondacks, up the Mohawk Valley. Terrific people filled with absolutely kind-hearted, loving, warm, welcoming people. And I really want to do my very best to represent them in the New York State Assembly.
Talk about why you want to run. And I didn't catch, you a Democrat, Republican? Let's talk a little bit about your interest.
Sure. I'm running for the Republican nomination for the Assembly seat.
Looks like there's 2 or 3 that are going to be in the race, so you're probably looking at a primary.
That's correct. There'll be a primary. I'm very confident that I'll be able to win that primary. I'm really looking to go out and earn people's trust and confidence all around the district, let them get to know me, let them know who I am, and then be able to explain myself and what I believe in, and then ask them for their support.
So what you believe in, let's go there. You're first off, and I'm sure Marc Butler, if you were to ask him, can tell you, you're the minority in the Assembly. And it's tough to get stuff done, so you really do have to work with others on the other side. Do you think you're able to pull that off?
I really think so. My military experience, I've worked with people from all over the world, from all walks of life, and I've got a lot of experience in the School of Hard Knocks about how Albany and Washington, D.C. really works. And I think I can contribute very much directly once I get to the Assembly.
Where do you stand on, for instance, Remington is in our backyard here. Where do you stand on the Second Amendment? And, it was Vermont that just passed more legislation just a couple of days ago. For instance, raising the age to 21. They have outlawed bump stocks and that sort of thing. What's your take on that? What Vermont did, first off?
Well, Vermont will do what Vermont will do, and we in New York will do what we should do in New York, sort of thing. And it's a state by state sort of issue. But regarding things like Remington and the Second Amendment, I've actually used Remington products in the field overseas in combat sort of
Wow.
thing. So I had a lot of experience with weapons, and I know Remington very well sort of thing. So I'm a big supporter.
Do you feel that raising the age, I mean, if that came forward, obviously you know what the governor was able to pull off here in New York with the state, with the New York Safe Act. If that came up and you're voting on raising the age to 21, where would you be on that?
So could you just clarify that, Bill?
So here's what they're saying is to purchase a weapon. I believe is what Vermont's law is, not to purchase an AR-15 or this is to purchase a gun. They've raised the age to 21 in the state of Vermont.
So I think that the age of purchase should be the same as the age of voting. If you can vote as a citizen, then you should.
Or
be
maybe
able
the
to,
age of being able to travel to Afghanistan and defend your country.
You know, a lot of those young Marines that I served with were right out of high school.
Yeah.
They signed up, they went to boot camp, and less than a year later, they were in Afghanistan doing their duty.
Think about that. And then the bump stock issue, and you're familiar, I'm assuming, with bump stocks. It's a device that I'm talking about something I'm really not overly familiar with. So if you know more, stop me. But it allows a semi-automatic weapon to fire similarly to an automatic weapon.
Yeah, so automatic weapons are automatic weapons, and bump stocks mimic those sorts of things. So it should be looked at very closely. It's one of those things that there's a line between where civilian usage needs to be drawn, and maybe bump stocks is that line.
Okay. And I would ask you also about one of the things everybody complains about in New York is, and you have a family business, you're involved in a family business, complaining about taxes so high, these corporate taxes so high, and corporate welfare as we try to compete with other states around the country. Where do you stand on that, and what are your thoughts on the high taxes in New York?
Sure. Well, I appreciate the question, Bill. Not to get into all the details of what will be the platform that I ultimately run on, but in general, I'm in favor of lower taxes, less regulation, and more liberty. And if you take those three general ideas and then you get down into all the details, people, I think, in this district will be very pleased to see where I stand on the real issues of the day.
Manaski.
Have you ever run for like a town council, village council, school board, anything like that?
I've not. This is actually my first effort to run as a candidate in public office sort of thing. I do sit on the Town of Johnstown Board of Assessment Review, though.
All right.
I do my civic duty for my fellow citizens in the town where I was raised.
And where do you... I'm sorry, what do you do? You take a second look at assessments, property assessments?
That's right. It's part of the normal process. It's grievance day, actually. It's coming up soon sort of thing. And a lot of people have a lot of big issues with taxes.
People come out and say the assessment's too high on my property. I think that's kind of what went on in New Hartford School District with Sangertown Square and other locations where they filed a grievance, and ultimately the courts ruled in favor of them, and they had to pay back some of that money that was paid to the school district. Speaking of New Hartford School District, education. Funding has been an issue, and certainly you're in the Gloversville area. These are poor school districts. And the foundation aid is what tries to really balance everything out. Most of these schools feel they've been shorted when it comes to foundation aid and funding from New York State. What is your thought on funding education?
Well, it's the big, great issue for the district, and that it levels the playing field for everyone that's out there sort of thing. So one thing that can be assured is that I am unafraid of making my voice heard loud and clear down in Albany for the people of the district and be able to fight aggressively for their needs. And
fighting aggressively, my final question for you was my original, and that is, through all of these things you've talked about, how do you get anything done when you're in the minority, and how will you work with people on the other side of the aisle?
Well, my mission is going to be to do three things. It's going to be to fight, to talk, and to build. So when it's necessary, I'll stand up for the people of the district. When it's necessary, I'll talk on their behalf and negotiate with people in the Assembly, within the Senate, and in the administration, the departments down in Albany. And then lastly, I'll build, because I have a very clear idea of what the New York of the future should be like. I think together we can reimagine what's possible in New York and make the New York of the future an even better place, one that we'd love to call home.
All right, Robert Smullen, you've announced you're running for the 118th Assembly District. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Phil. I really appreciate it.
We will talk again. I appreciate it.